Tonight on Joy News Prime, 2 suspected robbers killed in shootout with police in an attempted robbery of a Lebanese businessman in Tema. The footage of the robbery attempt, we'll be sharing that with you, and we'll be hearing from the Tema Region Police Command. Disagreement between a commercial driver and a passenger over social distancing on board a minibus results in the fatal stabbing of the passenger.
No 5 times. Or 3. Or 3 bako and a bako the auto or the Nesaji.
Issued a directive to a mandatory use of nose mask following a similar directive by its Ashanti region counterpart. And in business,
Ghana Revenue Authority converts customs lab into production line for hand sanitizers as fight against COVID-19 intensifies.
Production of this sanitizer form part of our measures we have put in place to support our staff as they work at the various frontiers to bring in the much needed revenue.
And as Muslims prepare to commence their Ramadan fast in very unusual times, the National Chief Imam has used the occasion of his 101st birthday to urge the faithful to comply with the restrictions.
You have not stopped us from devoting ourselves to God.
I'm Israel anchoring from home, and remember, Joy News Prime is live on digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air.
And my name is Aisha Ibrahim, coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemle on digital address GA0992539. The bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Please stay tuned in.
The driver of a commercial vehicle is in the grips of the Eastern Region Police for killing a passenger for disagreement on social distancing. Joy News checks indicate this was after the driver and his assistant picked a quarrel with the deceased, Kwesi Amale, and his brother, who boarded the vehicle on the Suhum to Koforidua Road. They had complained that there were too many passengers on board the vehicle to enable compliance with social distancing protocols. Eastern Region correspondent Kofi Sian joins us with more. Good evening to you, Kofi Sian. Now explain to us how this confrontation ended in the death of this passenger.
Okay, Israel. So the passengers boarded the vehicle from Suhum to Koforidua, and when they were boarding the vehicle, they insisted that the driver adhered to the president's directive of ensuring a social distance in the vehicle. So the vehicle, which is supposed to pick 3 passengers on a row, is supposed to pick 2 for now. But the driver did not adhere to that directive, and the passengers also insisted. And when they got to a place called Akwadum in the New Jabin North Municipality, the driver stopped the engine and told the passengers to pay their fare until he moved to Koforidua, their final destination. But the passengers also insisted that they go to Koforidua before they pay the amount they are supposed to pay. So it brought about a misunderstanding between the driver and the passengers. And that disagreement resulted in a fight between the driver and 2 of the passengers on board the same vehicle. So the mate of the driver went into the car, brought out a knife and gave it to the driver, who stabbed 2 of the passengers in their abdomen. One of the persons died on the spot, while the other person was sent to the regional hospital in Koforidua and responded to treatment.
Now, Kofi, we understand the driver has been provisionally charged with murder and was put before court. What more can you report?
Yes, he was sent to the Koforidua Circuit Court B yesterday, and he was charged with murder. He was not allowed to, his plea wasn't taken, So the judge decided that he remands him so that he reappears in court in 2 weeks' time.
And you have been speaking with the family. What have they been telling you?
Well, for now, the assemblyman for the area has been the spokesperson of the family. And what he says is that it's a shock to them because this is someone who is not known to be a violent person, and that it is coming as a shock to them because they never thought of, him engaging himself in that fight with the driver.
All right, let's hear from the police right now.
He has been remanded into police custody to enable the police conduct further investigations into the matter. It is because we have not concluded our investigations. It was not preferred with appropriate charges. It was a provisional charge that was preferred against him, and his plea was not even taken. So the court heard the plea or the prayer of the prosecution, and the suspect has been remanded into police custody to enable us to conduct further investigations. I can assure the family that the next adjourned date, what we are going to do is that we will start quickly with the processes and have him committed to the proper jurisdiction, because the court that he was arraigned in the last time is lower courts. They have to start the proceedings to indict him. It's an indictable offense. He's going to be tried at the high court. And we are currently speeding up with the processes to ensure that justice is served to the deceased person, the brother who were callously killed, and the other one seriously injured. We are also in the process of conducting the autopsy to determine the medical cause of death. This is special, although we all know that he died out of the stab wounds. Medically, the medical cause of death was also given, so that when we go to court, that will help the prosecution to also build his prototype case against him.
Well, here in Accra, police officers deployed to enforce social distancing at one of the markets in the Central Business District are having a hard time regulating the traders. Mamiesi Thompson, who was at the CMB Gate 1 market, reports social distancing protocols have been literally thrown out of the window despite the police's best efforts. She says though the police managed to get them off the streets, it doesn't take long for the traders to return with their wares.
Traders who sell mainly on pavements at CMB Gate 1 want authorities to relocate them to less congested areas following a harsh eviction by the police earlier at dawn. I spotted a number of them still loitering with their wares so they could earn their daily keep. For them, if they had to adhere to social distancing protocols, then the little space they're occupying should be expanded. I have 7 children and I sell here to feed them. I have become the breadwinner since their father died. Where else can I go from here? I cannot feed them if they continue beating us. Tell me, where can I go?
I'm a single mother. I came to Accra to do business. Anytime I set up here, the tax force chases us out. Because of that, it is affecting our business, and my children are also going hungry at home. Just recently, I was beaten. I had to stay at home. I only came back today, and they beat me up today too. Today is the 4th day since the president lifted the restriction on movement. But since we came here, the police keep beating us. Why?
The Korle Klottey Municipal Assembly is having difficulties controlling the huge crowds. However, they are strategizing new ways to control the numbers.
The traders have come in their numbers and are obviously not observing the social distancing protocols, so we are planning on relocating them to satellite markets close to Abuja and Nima stations, so they are not crowded here.
For Joy News, Mamiesi Thompson, CMB, Accra.
Food and Agriculture Minister Dr. Owusu Efik-Akoto says the success of government's Planting for Food and Jobs program has contributed to the reduction of food prices on the market. At a news briefing in Accra, he stated there is abundant food in the country even after the lockdown. He's challenging persons who are making claims about high cost of food to provide evidence to back their assertions.
4 years ago, a bunch of plantain in Accra, you have to spend 40 Ghana cedis. Now 3 or 4 cities, and I repeat, 3, 4, 5 cities, you can get a bunch of plantain. It shows you clearly that we have come and reduced prices of food, even in the major cities like Accra, where because of the substantial reduction in prices in the markets, most families who could not afford 1 meal a day can now afford 3 meals a day because food is so cheap. And we continue to ensure that Planting for Food and Jobs will deliver even more food to the areas of consumption to make life very easy for families living in the consuming areas. If you make such a statement that prices on the market are high, you cannot just say that and walk away free. You have to give us the evidence which shows that prices on the market are high. And high compared to what? So I would challenge the person who made a statement to give us the evidence to show that prices on the market are high. Because the evidence that I have is exactly the opposite of what he's saying. And I have the ability to be able to give the evidence to that effect. I have over 250, nearly 300 workers around the country for my ministry, whose job is nothing but to collect prices around this country from the major markets. So when I put the information together and I publish that information, it is very clear that the trends are established. I'm challenging whoever is saying that the prices are high to come and prove it to us here. It's not for me to prove it. It's for him to come and demonstrate to us that indeed that is so. So when we are making such statements, I think we have to be very careful and be armed with the facts and not just throw the question and leave it as such. Planting for Food and Jobs has not failed.
So we went to the market to find the evidence the minister has been talking about. We interacted with some market women who are saying, contrary to the minister's assertions, food prices continue to go up.
And your Minister of Agri, Kasai, now I see a price of Byron foodstuffs no I call from Kra no crebi wom.
Oh, I know Cressa. If say Byron no say your month of April, but May June never from Abba. And she said about any bond I was so kakra. You know to marry Boba from sa. Aha. That is we go you say. Ayepona 11 cities, but me the matter 10 cities. By this August September no. Ebia statement by say ya be 3 for 20.
It's not true that the prices of foodstuff have reduced. The price of yam shoots up because of the seasons. In August, the yam is usually in season, and so the prices are very affordable. This tube of yam is going for 11 Ghana cedis now. But in August, 3 of these go for 20 Ghana cedis. Even though I cannot state exactly how much it was 4 years ago, prices generally have gone up.
So the medical can say August September by any baba from Kra. Baba now yaka be 2 months before na ban any boy.
There be enya no kre. Na first body any season e ko na ba. Nti sabre no e tama body boy dey. Last year na body ebu ye no kra edro no kese ebi wo ha 20 Ghana 30 Ghana. Na se sia body ho aye dey ka ye nto sa no 40 Ghana.
It's certainly not true. Plantain is not in season now, so it's very expensive. The full bunch goes for 45 Ghana cedis. It is not sold for 4 Ghana cedis as stated by the minister. It is rather 20 Ghana cedis for 10 fingers and 10 Ghana cedis for half of it. Prices depend on whether or not it is in season.
The drug is 45. It's an Ebu 10 cedi.
So, what do I drink 4 years ago? Back I hear an hour tongue to say bucket way.
No, yeah, like I say, 2 cedi.
4 years ago, this paint bucket of onions was going for 2 Ghana cedis 50 pesos. Now, it goes for 20 Ghana cedis. The prices have shot up because of the cost of transportation. I listened to the minister and I wasn't happy at all with what he said. What he said isn't true about the prices. The seasons affect the prices of foodstuff.
Okay, you're not me sister cry boo. Say, just send your canon and yes, sir.
Hey, if I said go there, send to Subonyadi. 4 years ago, it was a bonyadi. Say no, you call we no. My last one, me toy a coy, 40 million.
4 years ago, prices of tomatoes were not as expensive as they are today. Just 2 weeks ago, I got this container for 1,400 Ghana cedis. That wasn't how I bought it 4 years ago, even though I cannot exactly remember how much it went for. When it's in season, we reduce the prices significantly and shoot up when it's not. But generally, he shouldn't say his initiatives is what have caused prices of foodstuffs to either reduce or shoot up. It is purely based on seasons.
I have food here. Not one can eat. I said, that poem no waka. Ghana or be animal say. I then on and off. And see, you can yeah. None yaman to you. But so pretty say, it be our washing in tea. Nyamaya food here. Then yes, sir.
Meanwhile, Food and Agriculture Minister Dr. Usefri Akoto says there are plans by government to partner foreign investors to help save the Ghana National Food Buffer Stock Company from its challenges and also to fully perform its functions.
Buffer stock, the concept of buffer stock is to able to take away from the market during the period of surplus and release during the period of shortage. The company, which belongs to the government of Ghana through the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, has been trading for only 2 full years. And the resources that they will need to be able to buy huge quantities of surpluses are beyond the reach of the government of Ghana. So we are looking for foreign investors to come in, either to take over that company or to accompany to work with the company so they can bring in the needed working capital. If it is to work properly, we are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars worth of working capital. We don't have that kind of money. So up to now, the buffer stock company has been limited to licensing a few traders for them to bring the food items in for distribution to schools. The amount that we do to the schools is not even 15,000 metric tons of rice, of maize, of grains generally. Buffer stock in its elements for what it's been designed for has not started that role because of lack of funding. We need hundreds of millions of dollars. So we are in talks with 2 or 3 foreign companies who are interested to come and partner with us to strengthen the proper role that buffer stock should have.
The World Health Organization estimates that 1 in 6 people with COVID-19 often become seriously ill with breathing difficulties. As Ghana's case count increases, more of the country's coronavirus patients who get to this stage will require such critical life support equipment. Ventilators tend to be the main equipment used in such situations, but they're expensive and so not very common. Engineering students at the KNUST have, however, developed a low-cost automated respirators which apparently does the job. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has been speaking with them for Tech Thursday.
A group of researchers led by the president of the Institute of Safety, Disaster and Emergency Studies, Dr. Ishmael Norman, decided to undertake research on all-risk emergency preparedness in Ghana's hospitals. And do you know what they found? Only 45.5% had respirators. Of course, Kofi Anokye Teaching Hospital is having some, Korle Bu Teaching Hospital is having a number of them. What about the district hospitals? The least said about them, the better. Students at the KNUST have, for the past 2 years, been working on how to write a good ending to the story captured in the Ghana Medical Journal. Professor Mark Aduma-Samoa is Provost, College of Engineering.
Most of the district hospitals and community hospitals, they lack ventilators. So we initiated a project with the University of Michigan to build locally made ventilators.
Hospital-grade ventilator costs between 130,000 cedis and 300,000 cedis. The team, put together by Professor Mark Aduma-Samoa, has been thinking of less expensive ventilators.
We felt that if we could get a ventilator that could have the basic functions for human breathing, then it will go a very long way to help with our health delivery system.
The prototype has an initial cost of 20,000 cedis, which the college believes will reduce significantly if mass-produced. Professor Kwame Osei-Boateng is one of the project coordinators.
When you are building prototype, it's not that which we use to price the product on the market, but rather all these problems we are going through, once we are done, we would have prepared templates and we can then mass produce. When you are mass producing, you do a whole lot at a time, and so you are able to bring the price down.
Ashanti Regional Clinical Engineering Manager, Ghana Health Services, Eric Sakimensa, though is impressed with what is likely to be the first automated ventilator to make its way into Ghana's intensive care wards, he knows additional functionalities will be apt.
For a life support device like a ventilator, you need to check something we call the SpO2, the amount of oxygen in the patient. We need to know. Also, it's a monitoring device, so we need to get its temperature, check sometimes the ECG, and then we have some technicalities that we call something like the tidal wave. We need to know all these things. And when we discussed with them, they made us aware that they have all these things in the prototype document.
Professor Osei-Boateng has therefore been taking notes.
What we'll be adding to it is that as it is, it's already automated, but still there are certain functions we could still automate further, because we are thinking that you wouldn't have some people may not be in so critical a condition such that they may be aided with the ventilator for a while, and then at the time they regain their composure and are able to breathe. Then the machine itself should be able to sense that now the person is okay, so it can go off by itself. Or if the person is okay and is on the person, at the time that the person begins to struggle, it should be able to detect and kick in so that it helps. These are the fine-tuning in terms of automation that we are thinking about now. Yeah, and in addition to this, we are thinking of adding devices that could also monitor the signals from the body, like the electrocardiograph.
The college says the ventilator, which is 95% complete, will be fully functional in 2 months' time, but will require financial support. For Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Muslims in Ghana and many other parts of the world will this year have to go about their Ramadan fast in a way they have never done. as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is wreaking havoc in the world. As a result of restrictions on public gatherings in Ghana, for instance, the most sacred period on the Muslim calendar will be done without the usual congregation in mosque. On the occasion of the 101st birthday, the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Usman Nuhu Shaributu, together with Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, called on the Muslim population to brace up for what will be a special Ramadan fast of a lifetime. Latif Idris has more.
At 101 years, the National Chief Imam is still active and is able to move with little or no assistance. He is able to read without the aid of lenses, a remarkable feat for someone his age. As has always happened on his birthday, Sheikh Usman Nuhu Shaributu started the day with prayers for Ghana and the world after receiving Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia at his residence. He then made his appeal to Muslims across the country to observe the social distancing protocols to prevent the spread of COVID-19 even as they get ready for the 2020 Ramadan fast, which starts on Friday.
Circumstance can make what has been prohibited become permissible. Therefore, everybody must stay in the house and say his prayer. Assembling or gathering together that will lead to the further spread of the disease, we should all, eschew and abandon such gatherings. And it is also for our own good that we have been asked not to assemble. We have not stopped us from devoting ourselves to God.
Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, who surprised the National Chief Imam with some cakes and early morning visit, also urged the Muslim community to do as the National Chief Imam had advised, describing him as a national treasure.
What he has done and continues to do for this country is incalculable in monetary terms. You can't calculate it. He is a major force in the peace and stability that we are witnessing and enjoying in Ghana. The tolerance that he has exhibited within Muslim communities and between Muslim communities and Christian communities and other religions is really exemplary and remarkable. So on such a day, we have to be thankful to God for his life and continue to pray for his good health, because it isn't normal. In fact, what we are witnessing, that you will get to 100 years, let alone 101, and still be looking as healthy as he is. So God has blessed him. And by God blessing him, God has blessed Ghana, because it is God's gift to Ghana.
Included in the items presented to the Chief Imam by the Vice President was a cow to be slaughtered and shared as part of the birthday celebration.
Happy birthday to the National Chief Imam. Still to come in this bulletin, 2 suspected robbers killed in shootout with police in an attempted robbery of a Lebanese businessman in Tema. Now, the Greater Accra Regional Security Council has also issued directive on the mandatory use of nose mask following a similar directive by its Ashanti region counterpart. There is more in business when we return. time now for business, and Daryl Kwao is here with the very latest. Hi, Daryl.
Hi, Aisha.
I'm hearing that the GRA is doing magic to
it tells you we are not in normal
to get
times,
more
right?
revenue.
You can imagine the amount of money we lost during the period of the lockdown.
Exactly.
And so they have to protect staff, and they're doing something interesting. So government has set a revenue target of 55 billion cedis for 2020, but that may not be attained because of the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, to help protect staff and get them working, the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has begun production of some 10,000 liters of alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Commissioner General of the GRA, Amishadai Owusu-Amoah, says there are plans to produce more for other state institutions. There's more in this report.
The decision by the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, to produce alcohol-based hand sanitizers was due to the reduced activity at its lab at the Kotoka International Airport. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 earlier this year, management has put in place measures to minimize the impact of revenue. Though the production is done in small quantity, the Commissioner General of the GRA, Amishadai Owusu-Amoah, disclosed that they are being able to make some savings on the expenditure.
Has saved us more than 164,000 Ghana cedis per month from what we started buying. And with this initiative, we are sure that if we're looking at even for 6 months, it will be more than 1 million cedis that we'll have to spend. And therefore, this is a substantial savings for us. The production of this sanitizer form part of our measures we have put in place to support our staff as they work at the various frontiers to bring in the much needed revenue. We have also secured other personal protective equipment such as face masks, hand gloves, among others, to ensure that we protect our staff and protect our customers or the taxpayers.
According to Mr. Owusu-Amoah, the GRA has begun some cost-cutting measures to also ensure that the losses from the impacts of COVID-19 are covered halfway.
Now, as the demand for personal protective equipment increases amid the spread of coronavirus, the Ghana Export-Import Exim Bank has provided funding for manufacturing firms to produce more. This is under the Exim Bank's COVID-19 funding project. Charles Aite reports.
Local government manufacturing companies are racing to meet demand for personal protective gears. Here at the production line of Candlin Fashion, these workers, numbering 300, are on a morning and night shift system, turning tons of plain material to nose masks, protective gowns and hand gloves. Linda Ampa is the chief executive of the company.
We were about 145, 150 thereabouts. So we had to increase our capacity to be able to meet the demand so that the President can meet the targets set for the nation.
Having benefited from a funding program under the Exim Bank, this government factory is part of 7 other companies innovating with a thread and needle to keep Ghana's general public, including frontline health workers, against the novel coronavirus. Paying a factory visit to the production line, Chief Executive of Ghana Exim Bank, Lawrence Ajinsam, encouraged other government firms to apply for financial assistance.
Go beyond aid. Today we have a local industry that is producing to be able to support us. That is meeting both the FDA standard and WTO standard. We are proud to associate ourselves with Candlin, that she is doing this yeoman's job. On behalf of the board and management, we will continue to support.
With 30,000 pieces of PPEs produced daily, Candlin is part of several clothing manufacturing firms that are hoping to catch on with the demand that has come as a result of COVID-19. This is part of the various initiatives that government has implemented under the Exim COVID-19 initiative to boost local production amidst these uncertain times. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
ADB Bank has earmarked 1 million Ghana cedis to support the fight against coronavirus. The Managing Director, John Kofi Mensah, has disclosed the bank would donate part of that money to the agribusiness sector. He spoke to Joy Business after some key institutions took delivery of medical equipment donated by the bank.
Apart from the 1 million Ghana cedis announced, the ADB Bank has also waived all charges on its electronic transactions below 100 Ghana cedis and reduced interest rates by 200 percentage points. According to the Managing Director John Kofi Mensah, the donation, which farmers will also benefit from, is in support of the fight against the coronavirus.
Bring items that are going to support them in their work towards this eradication of this pandemic. So today you see the items, assorted ones. It is going to selected institutions like the Immigration Service, Ministry of Food and Agriculture for our agribusiness and farmers, selected regional hospitals, Wage, Tamale, Cape Coast, selected district hospitals, and other institutions.
The bank has also made some donations to the COVID-19 Trust Fund set up by government.
ADB have committed 1 million cedis immediately to support the eradication of the COVID fund. We followed it up with putting 200,000 of the 1 million into the COVID-19 fund, which we did last week. And we decided to be selective on some institutions which we feel are in the forefront of the battle as phase one. And that
the ADB Bank will soon announce a special package for customers to ease the pressure of the pandemic.
Various institutions are contributing to the fight against coronavirus, and you must take care of yourself as well. And that's why we bring you our health tips for tonight.
The COVID-19 prevention segment is brought to you by Dole, a tasty and fruity yogurt. Alive soap, your life matters to us. Stay alive. Magdan Shipping, your total logistics partner. Petrosol, a delightful experience. Pollard Life Assurance, we've got you covered. And Carex kills 99.9% of bacteria. Say yes to life in collaboration with the Ghana Medical Association.
Business for now. Gary R. Smith coming up next with the latest sporting headlines.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News Prime. I'm Gary R. Smith with the sport. Now, he used to be one of the most powerful men in Ghana football, but when he wanted to run for the GFA presidency, he was disqualified. I'm talking about Wilfred Osei-Kweku. And in his first interview since all that happened, he says he's no longer interested in the position, at least for now.
It's not up to me to force myself on the rank and file or the electorates. It's the members of Congress who are going to determine who should be the future FA president. So if CAS rules, and I even have that ambition, I don't think that will be my move or the move for me to make. I will wait on the rank and file to make that approach. If I'm suitable, I'm fit enough to contest for that position, I will consider it when I get to that point. But as we speak now, I don't have such ambitions to do that. So far as I sit here, I don't think I have set dreams to lead the FA until I'm approached by the rank and file.
By the rank and file?
Yeah.
So, if I get you right, you have the desire, however, you are shelving it for now to make the administration run, and then you will also listen to stimulus around you to take a decision. Is that what you're saying?
I've declared that I don't have such intentions as I sit here. Because the most important factor in here is that there's a president in place, give him the peace of mind to run the FA. That is one. I'm pursuing the issue at CAS because of my integrity. And that's the bottom line. Nothing.
Like I said, this is his first interview since the GFA elections, and the full interview will be airing at 10:30 on Fan Zone. Moving on, and it seems like every day for the past week brings bad news from the Asante Kotoko camp. Today, the latest is that MTN, the telecoms network, has suspended all financial obligations to the Kumasi-based club.
The contract we have with MTN, it is stated categorically in the contract that anytime there's a closure led by a force majeure, it means the contract can either be terminated or it can be suspended. As today, as I speak with you, there's been a letter from MTN to Kumasi Asante Kotoko claiming they are suspending all their financial obligations to the club. Wow. As I speak with you. And this is in conformity of the clause in the contract that allows them to do so. So it means that there will be difficulty in terms of the club's financial situation. Yeah. And coupled with the absence of football.
And finally, from Ashgold, we have news today that Frederick Achampong has quit as the CEO. This is the statement he put out. He said, "It's the end of a golden road. I have tendered in my resignation effective 30th of April. He says he's grown and learnt immensely at the club, but it's time to move on for personal reasons. He thanks the club chairman, Dr. Kweku Frimpong, and the club and supporters for the opportunity. In the second hour, around 8:30, I'll be speaking with my colleague Muftau Nabila to delve into the issues why he has taken this decision, and then we do some foreign news. Thank you for your time. I'm Gary Al Smith.
Welcome back to Joy News. Prime time now for Showbiz. Becky is here with the very latest. Hi, Becky.
Hello to you, Aisha.
I nearly wore a similar dress.
Oh, I know.
My goodness.
You told me. But Aisha, let's talk about Stonebwoy's album listening, the much anticipated album listening on Joy Prime and Hit FM happened today. Of course, we have all the details for you here.
On Thursday, multiple award-winning musician Stonebwoy once again proved to his followers across the world that he's one of the best in the music business. His latest album, Listening on Joy Prime and Hit FM, turned out perfectly after crowning the event with what has been described as one of his best live performances. With all the carefully recorded songs with some of the world's most talented musicians, one can only conclude that Anglonga Junction album is one of the best musical material to be released. Here are some of the tracks expected to be released on Friday. But who did Stonebwoy enjoy working with on this album?
You're putting me in a corner again, Charlie. I'm never really able to answer these questions because everybody is super great. But in the end, I say Kerry Hilson because working with women is a different movement, you know. And then working with a superstar like Kerry Hilson who has seen it all, done it all. I mean, I hardly thought we were going to be good friends, you know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
So Sarkodie is also calling for Azonto to come back, and we have a beautiful report for you here.
Rapper Sarkodie got Ghana dancing in 2011. Few years later, he blessed Azonto lovers with another.
Jolly, she wants more. Junction, she wants more. Femi Alanka, she wants more. Azonto Fiesta, she wants more. Junction, she wants more.
Since then, it's been one dance form after another, some completely new, others a fusion of a number of steps. But before we forget our Azonto steps, Sarkodie says you should hook him. It's all in his latest single, Fahukime, which seeks to bring back the Azonto flow. The track, which features Tulenke, has since its release 2 days ago been trending on social media. The rapper's plan this time is to reignite the Azonto, which gained national and international acclaim. The king of rap posted from his base in America sometime Wednesday that he's setting the agenda to bring back Azonto. But here's the catch. If you don't know how to dance, don't mess up the trend. Fans are already taking up the hashtag Fahokimicha.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Nice one. Thank you so much for bringing us Showbiz. That will not allow us to be dancing Azonto. That'll be it for Showbiz, and that'll be it for those of you watching on Joy Prime. The news continues on Joy News. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories, and it appears crime is resurfacing in some parts of the country following government's decision to lift the 3-week lockdown. The police in Tema have killed one robber in a shootout. One of the robbers is injured and the third is on the run. According to eyewitnesses, the robbers were said to have tracked some businessmen who went to withdraw money at the Tema Metropolitan Assembly branch of Zenith Bank. Our correspondent Kwame Yanka has been speaking to the police about this development.
This afternoon, there was a robbery which took place in Tema here. There was this businessman who had gone to the Zenith Bank at the TMA branch in Committee 1 to withdraw well over 100,000 Ghana cedis. As he left the bank, there were these two robbers on the motorbike who chased him, immobilized his vehicle by shooting at the tires, then succeeded in taking the money away. So an alarm was raised, the information got to the police, and our patrol team pursued them and eventually had the two of them killed by, through a scene of fire. The money also scattered on the street, and people, as you know, scrambled for the money. So eventually, the person had only 25,000 Ghana cedis out of over 100,000, 2,500 Ghana cedis out of the over 100,000 Ghana cedis that he withdrew from the bank. So the bodies have been sent to the police hospital mortuary for further action. Yes.
Okay.
If you were to see the caliber of the firearm that they were holding, the pistol, you realize that it was a very powerful one. And if you also saw, but the extent of damage that was caused to the tires, and the side, glass of the complainant's vehicle.
In a related development, health personnel at the Ankasi Methodist Hospital are living in fear following a series of robbery attacks that have claimed one life and led to 5 health personnel sustaining gunshot wounds this year in the Fija-Kwabre district of the Ashanti region. The latest victim, a biomedical scientist with the hospital, Steven Nyameche, 35, was gunned down 2 weeks ago by robbers on his way to work. Management and staff of the hospital are seeking justice for their colleague. They have also threatened to lay down their tools if the Bad Heman-Ejuratia road is not fixed to reduce the spate of attacks. Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko has more.
The road leading to the Ankasi Methodist Hospital is bad. Broken old asphalt riddled with potholes. The situation is giving armed robbers an opportunity to block the road and rob commuters of their valuables. 5 health staff of the Ankasi Methodist Hospital have fallen victim.
Right here at this spot is where another nurse was also shot. She was in a public transport and the suspected armed robbers blocked this section of the road to traffic. And that was how they fired into the vehicle, and she sustained gunshot wounds.
The latest victim left behind a pregnant wife and 2 children.
This is the spot where Stephen Nyamiche was gunned down by suspected armed robbers about 2 weeks ago. Now, he was meandering his way from this curve up to this point, and according to eyewitnesses, he met a roadblock right here at this spot. Armed men on this road. And when he was trying to find a place to stop, they fired some bullets through the vehicle, which affected him badly, leading to his death. Now, about 5 people, 5 staff of the Methodist Hospital Ankase have sustained gunshot wounds just using this road and other link roads to the hospital.
Management and staff are living and working in fear. They threaten to lay down their tools. Dr. Seth Sie is medical director.
Last thing we want to do, suspension of services to the patient. But like we are saying, we will not want also to be giving health care to the people of this community and the people who come from other places to access health care here at the cost of our own lives. But if the situation continues, armed robbers attacking us and killing us with impunity, then we may be forced to suspend services.
The Methodist Church is also losing sleep over the incessant attacks. Very Reverend Owusu Ajiman Prempe is Superintendent Minister of the Methodist Church, Ankase.
The church, as part of our social service that we do to humanity, we have facilities like this one, hospitals, schools, and all that. So we are a bit worried. But we are worried about what is happening here. And it's very peculiar to only this place. Because we have other facilities like, we have some at Wenchi, Kumasi, Kwadaso, Aburaso, Apeja, Adum, and all that. We don't see such things happening. And we are worried. So we, together with the community, the chiefs, and all that, it is a plea that maybe this road should be fixed. Because it's rendering the effectiveness and the efficiency here.
Police will not immediately comment. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
And here in Accra, the Greater Accra Regional Security Council has directed more banks, malls, commercial, transport and other service providers not to admit persons who refuse to wear face masks. The Security Council has also directed assemblies within the region to set up satellite markets to decongest the heavily populated existing markets. Regional Minister Ishmael Ashite, who also chairs the council, has been explaining the directive to Gift Ando Apia on the pulse.
Well, we had a meeting with the MMDs, and a decision was taken that to be able to control the COVID-19, the public, people who comes out must be wearing face mask, and then we must also try as much as possible to adhere to the social distancing protocol. And well, it came out that the MMDCs may be needing the assistance of the security services to be able to do some of these things. So we went to a Regional Security Council meeting, and a decision was taken that wearing of face or nose face masks is mandatory in the Greater Accra region. Everybody who wants to come out to do business in the public space must wear face mask. That was one of the decisions that was taken yesterday.
Now, a 42-year-old man who was the first to test positive for COVID-19 in the Upper West region is now recovered and is about to be reintegrated into the community. Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh disclosed on Wednesday that the recovered patient has now tested negative for the virus twice, confirming that he was indeed free from the infection. He made the announcement when he called on the Tumukoro to brief him on the work done so far by the Upper West Region's Public Health Epidemic Committee. Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Tumu.
Dr. Hafiz bin Saleh first commended the Tumukoro, who also doubles as the president of the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs, for adhering to the directive of President Akufo-Addo on the ban on public gathering by postponing indefinitely this year's celebration of the Parabili Festival. Dr. bin Saleh noted that other paramount chiefs in the region saw the move by the Tumukoro as exemplary and emulated it by also banning all festivals in their various paramouncies. Dr. bin Saleh then spoke about the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Upper West region while zeroing in on the index case.
In the Upper West region, we have recorded 8 confirmed cases, and all the 8 cases, they are doing very well. Seven of them are in Wa, while the other one is in Nandom. All of them are doing well, and I must commend our health officials. They are doing a yeoman's job. I am pleased to even announce that in this case, that is the first person who was reported to have contracted COVID-19 has recovered from the disease and is about being integrated into the community. We've sent his sample for test on 2 occasions, and on both occasions the result has been negative. So this is a confirmation that he is now fit to move into the community.
The University of Ghana Medical Center, UGMC, has taken COVID-19 related health service provision to another level with the introduction of a new care coordination service, COVID Connect. In collaboration with entrepreneurial organization Farm Access Foundation, COVID Connect will offer individuals a range of services including care management and monitoring. If you're wondering how, Komladum has the rest of the story.
iOS, you download the Lucy application from App Store or Play Store. Country Director for Farm Access Foundation, Dr. Maxwell Entry, says the COVID Connect system provides an opportunity for individuals to receive care and get advice on COVID-19 from their home without physically getting to the hospital.
The University of Ghana Medical Center, in partnership with the Ministry of Health and with the support of Farm Access, has developed this service. It's more than an app. It's a service, and it's called COVID Connect, which allows persons to monitor their health in relation to key symptoms of COVID-19 from the comfort and safety of their homes, offices, or any other location.
However, a team of dedicated health workers in a coordination room at the University of Ghana Medical Center is at hand to monitor symptoms of individuals from the application.
The first symptoms on the app is loss of smell. So I press on the start button, and then there's a short description of what loss of smell is. So after reading this, I go to next.
I saw your alerts, and so I'm calling you about your symptoms that you put in.
The UGMC is one of the treatment centers for COVID-19, which means health workers will be able to provide adequate care for patients. Chief Executive Officer of UGMC, Dr. Darius Osei, at a ceremony to launch the service, says it is a game changer in the battle against the pandemic, which is sweeping across nations the world over.
We can simply get patients downloading this app, questioning them away for them to give us the real situation that they find themselves. And the app automatically defines your status that, well, with your information, you are a low-risk patient. So we don't need to worry ourselves with you. Once any of the symptoms puts you in the medium term, it straight away triggers to our center.
Dr. Ama Edwin is a senior specialist, bioethics and palliative care at the University of Ghana Medical Center.
You get a response within 24 hours.
to what your inquiry is. So assuming that your indicators, what you put in, makes it probable that maybe you may have COVID-19 infection, then the processes will be rolled out. We may find out where you are and whether we can come to you and take the sample, or you will be advised to go to a facility. So it makes it's a very user-friendly, and it makes health accessible to you.
For now, residents in the Greater Accra region can access and take advantage of the innovation. So if you're home and probably having a cough or temperature rise, well, do not fret. This is what you can do to get help through the COVID Connect system.
You key in your symptoms, the ratings of your symptoms, and the team will respond. And if they need to call you, they call you. If they need to link you up with counseling, they need to link you up with testing, they need to link you up with medical guidance and support and advice. They've discussed that with you. If they need to contact the contact tracing team, maybe you have keyed in that you have done the test, you haven't gotten your results. We can check up with the national database so that your results can also be assessed. So it's a service.
Now, former President John Mahama, flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, is holding what he calls a digital conversation on COVID-19 on social media. We take a break to join the interactive session now.
Difficult proposition. Sadly, these unfortunate developments are playing out before our very eyes with the current coronavirus disease. This is exactly when our brothers in Nigeria in February became the first in our sub-region to report a case of the coronavirus. I immediately called for an aggressive preventive measure to be put in place so that the disease does not spread into Ghana. We all hoped and prayed that this will not happen, but it was not to be. But now that it's here, we owe it to the people of Ghana to ensure that every attention, every decision, every human and material resource should be aimed solely at stopping the spread of the virus. We must manage cases to ensure speedy recovery and continue to have and build a secure and united country at the end of it all. In all these, my thoughts have also been on the state of our country after the pandemic. How different will our world and our country, Ghana, look from the world that we have known before? No country, nobody will go back to business as usual. In the coming days, I look forward to hosting further digital conversations on how we can rebuild our country, Ghana, and prepare it for the changes that are to come. I'll work with you all to prepare our country, Ghana, for the new world which will emerge after this pandemic. For now, however, my brothers and sisters, I trust that you're doing well and that you're staying safe and that you're taking the necessary steps to prevent yourselves and your families from getting infected with this deadly virus that we have to battle with. Staying safe no matter what is what we must all strive to do. Because as you may have also heard, in the model government is working with, the projection is that up to 3 million Ghanaians may be infected by the virus. And a significant number will require hospitalization or may even die from the virus. In his last address to the country, the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, lifted the partial lockdown imposed on Greater Accra, Greater Kumasi, and their environs, and Kaswa. At the time the country was recording increasingly higher infections, it was therefore not surprising that many Ghanaians, including public health experts, were puzzled about the considerations underlying the President's decision. The number of infections are not only rising steeply, but there's also clearly a horizontal community spread of the virus. The majority of the regions in our country have reported cases, and the bulk of the positive cases we are seeing are of people who have no history of foreign travel. One wonders whether in his decision consideration was given to the huge backlog of tests that have not yet been cleared, and the many possible cases roaming in our communities that have not yet been tested due to a lack of mass testing. Using the examples of countries that are seeing a decline in their case numbers, the science shows that public awareness on prevention protocols, accurate data, widespread testing, effective contact tracing, isolation, treatment, and care are the critical factors for success in overcoming COVID-19. Transparent and accurate data is critical if we are to achieve a better and deeper appreciation of the trajectory of this contagious disease in Ghana. Unfortunately, many health professionals have begun to question the credibility of the data and models being used by our national COVID-19 team. While it is the prerogative of the President to take the decisions that ensure our safety and protection, it is my hope that his decisions are guided by a genuine concern for the health and safety of the people of Ghana, and are also guided by science, not any political or parochial considerations. It is unfortunate that a high-ranking member of the President's party has suggested in recent days that the Electoral Commission should and will go ahead with the compilation of a new voters register as soon as next month, no matter how many Ghanaians die. At a time when doubts remain about the scale of the COVID-19 threat, and when social distancing has become our main defense, this suggestion is deeply irresponsible. Outbursts like this create doubt in the minds of the public if there are no political underpinnings to the President's decision. At this stage, we can only hope that consideration was given to the fact that the effects of the initiatives such as the local manufacture of personal protective equipment, PPEs, are yet to be felt in our health system. I must say, I'm deeply concerned about the health and safety of our health workers, considering that there are still loud complaints from many health facilities about the lack of basic protective gear. We need to protect our hard-working health workers. Not a day passes without emails, phone calls, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and WhatsApp messages from nurses and other medical staff from facilities across the country reaching out to my office and pleading for protective gear, PPEs. Right from the start of this pandemic, public education and awareness has been poor. Messages must be crafted in all the local languages and aired extensively on all our media of mass communication. The current scenes in our markets and public places suggest that the President's exhortation for self-discipline has largely not been heeded. Now that the lockdown has been lifted and the virus is mobile again, we must heed to the call to always wear face masks or face coverings in all public places. Government should speed up the initiative of manufacturing locally made masks, which can be washed and pressed or ironed and reused again. These should be handed out free of charge to the public. Strong public education on the safe use of masks must accompany this initiative. One gets the sense that perhaps because of the current low mortality in the cases we have confirmed so far, the President might be seeking to rely on what is called herd immunity as a strategy to fight COVID-19. But I dare say this is dangerous. We must remember that there are reports of reinfection occurring in some cases elsewhere. And also, prolonged immunity to the virus has not yet been proven at this stage. The example of the UK at the initial stages of the pandemic, relying on possible herd immunity, is a stark reminder of the dangers of such a strategy. Eventually, Prime Minister Boris Johnson nearly became a casualty of the virus. While it is true that the rate of hospitalization among those testing positive in Ghana is lower than in the UK, it is also true that we have a weaker and less efficient health system than the UK. The burden of the coronavirus disease could potentially be very heavy. COVID-19 has overwhelmed the health systems of most advanced countries and can do the same in Ghana. The toll on our healthcare workers could be devastating. You can buy ventilators and other medical items on the market, but you cannot go to the market and buy skilled doctors and nurses and other medical staff. As it is, we are currently relying on hope. Hope is good, but science helps you to hope better. It is important to note that government's humanitarian intervention to alleviate the unintended but predictable consequences of the lockdown have been an abysmal failure. The distribution of food was chaotic and disorderly, and in some cases partisan. It flouted all protocols of social distancing and prevention of the spread of the virus. Definitely no careful planning went into the implementation of this initiative, as is characteristic of this current administration. My suggestion to involve assembly members and traditional rulers, religious leaders, and civil society organizations were ignored. As the president clearly admitted, this was one of the reasons for the lifting of the lockdown. Many Ghanaians were faced with two choices: either to stay at home and die of hunger, or come out and take their chance against the deadly virus. Faced with these two choices, most Ghanaians opted for the latter. I therefore can understand and I empathize with the sports of jubilation that greeted the announcement of the president of the lifting of the partial lockdown. With a budget in excess of 1.2 billion cedis from the Stabilization Fund, I believe we could have handled this mitigation effort much better than we did. Examples from some of our fellow African countries, including Togo, our neighbor, Cote d'Ivoire, our neighbor, and Rwanda, demonstrate how an extended period of lockdown can be supported by a well-coordinated, enhanced, and effective social mitigation program. My office has been flooded with correspondence from many working-class people, especially in the private sector, who have not received their February and March salaries and are having a difficult time feeding and taking care of their families. The lockdown may have been lifted, but many businesses are still down and suffering. Employees are suffering too, just as the many players in the informal sector are also suffering. It makes me wonder why our Social Security and National Insurance Trust has not been responsive in this time of need of many of its contributors. Social Security contributions are essentially an insurance scheme made not just for pensions in old age before we die. They are also meant to help contributors in times of adversity such as this. Remember that not all will come out and queue for food. Not all will come out of their homes to receive the food boxes that we go around and hand over. But as has been done in other countries like St. Lucia, I think a token payment of all contributors of a certain token sum over 3 months would have afforded many the assurance of feeding their families during these abnormal times. While we wait for a clearing understanding of the factors underpinning the decision of the president to relax efforts to manage the spread of the virus, I urge all Ghanaians to continue to be responsible and not to assume that the country is out of the woods yet because of the removal of the lockdown. I want to strongly encourage all my fellow citizens, particularly the aged and those with underlying medical conditions, to continue to remain at home. The young are also advised to exercise precaution because in the reality of the COVID-19 Russian roulette, and for those who don't know Russian roulette, Google it, nobody knows who will live and who will die. If you please have nothing essential or urgent to do outside, please continue to stay at home. Avoid shaking hands or joining large gatherings. Let us regularly wash our hands with soap and under running water, or resort to the use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers where possible. Continue practicing social distancing or stay at least 1 meter away from anybody you are with or talking to when you step out of your house. And please wear a mask to protect yourself and others from infection. On this note, I commend and congratulate all who are working and producing masks locally, including the Medical Women Association of Ghana, Dr. Jifaku Wonu and her colleagues, who are also producing masks to support the fight against COVID-19, and the many others who are doing so. I still urge those who can afford to show compassion and share whatever you have with the less fortunate, especially the vulnerable, including people with disability, to continue to do so. Let us all bring accountability and transparency from the government in the management of the COVID-19 funds.
And that was former President John Mahama, flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, holding what he calls a digital conversation on COVID-19. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We bring you business news next. Do stay tuned in.
Welcome back. Time to zoom into business. Well, Zoom has said it will release an improved version of its hugely popular video conferencing app this week. It comes after issues with the company's data security and privacy measures have come under intense scrutiny. The firm said Zoom 5.0 will include upgraded encryption features to help protect data and fend off so-called Zoom bombing. The platform is now being used by hundreds of millions of people for work and leisure as lockdowns are imposed around the world. Well, earlier I spoke with Adam Glyman, his lead security and risk consultant for Global Secure Solutions Ghana Limited. I asked him what is contributing to the rise of Zoom and the security concerns.
Right now, Zoom has the biggest market share. Actually, from a stock investor point of view, Zoom is actually the cloud app that you'd want to invest in if you have that kind of money. They're doing very well on the stock exchange in terms of the value of their share price. They're really giving everyone else a run for their money. I think a few years ago, Skype was doing about 40 million users a month. Okay, today Zoom is doing about 300 million users a day. That can tell you how Zoom has really come in taking over the market share.
Okay, and so there are concerns about security that have come up. Tell us about that.
Yes, so you're right. Last year in October, there were 2 vulnerabilities that were discovered for Zoom and for WebEx. So these are vulnerabilities that should have been fixed by now. Zoom didn't really have the best security structure in place, which is typical of a fast-growing company. They have, however, taken ownership and have come up with a 90-day plan to fix these vulnerabilities. And the upgrade to the version 5, like you're saying, is part of that improvement. Unfortunately, in the midst of the crisis, we've seen that hackers were able to get some number of Zoom user accounts and usernames which were out there on the web. You had a case in Massachusetts where a classroom training was interrupted by a prank individual who was able to gain unauthorized access into a classroom and actually expose the home address of the teacher in that session. It's quite serious because the vulnerabilities would have given a remote attacker or somebody the chance to remotely exploit your machine that was running a Zoom app. Right. So you have, what happened was you had these vulnerabilities on Microsoft Windows and Mac OS platforms. Mac OS already released an update to fix that, and I think for Windows users it's best to use your password protected meetings and update to the latest versions. Okay, the next time I speak to you, we'll talk about how we can protect ourselves from some of the security concerns. But what do you envisage to be the future of Zoom after this pandemic? I think Zoom is going to continue to rise, especially because if you look at other tools like WebEx, which are other video conferencing tools, there's sort of like a paid feature. They're not as flexible in terms of providing free services like Zoom. Skype, we've all had Skype, and most of us have even forgotten the usernames and passwords. Skype has become outdated. It's just sitting there because it's free, but it doesn't have the feature and functionality in terms of that ease of use and recording webinars and such. And because we see that we are transitioning to a remote workforce, especially because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Zoom is definitely poised to gain more market traction.
Okay, so let's turn attention to the commodity market. Crude oil is pegged at around $21 a barrel. Here's a look at the latest numbers. That's all in business. Sports is coming up next, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the second part of the sport. I'm Gary Al Smith, and just before I finish the first part, I was telling you about Ashgold and how their CEO Frederick Champong has quit. This was his statement. I read it to you before, where he thanked the club and said the club has helped him to grow personally. Now let's go and get some analysis from my colleague Muftau Nabila Abdullah of the Joy Sports team and ask him why this has happened. Muftau, thank you for joining us. But first of all, this is Fred's time at Ashgold. He joined in 2018 as the club's youngest ever CEO. He won 3 trophies, the Betway Cup, the NC Tier 2 Cup, and the BK Duse Memorial Cup as well. Last season, he returned Ashgold to African club competition for the first time since 2015. And if you're on social media, you cannot miss out on Ashgold's digital presence. That is all from the man they call Archie. So why did he leave? Muftau, good evening and thank you for joining us. Story and get a bit of analysis from my colleague. In boxing, Richard Comey has to retain his belt after losing to Teofimo Lopez. Now, the boxer is looking to become a world champion again, and he's vowing to do so after COVID-19 becomes a thing of the past.
Yeah, most definitely. Why not? You know, because this fight ended up unexpectedly. So, I mean, we all made mistakes and accidents do happen in boxing. So, but I don't think he'll be willing to give me a rematch. But if he does, oh man, I'll be very, very grateful, because I'll be calling out. If he can get me, Teofimo, you can hear me out. If you're willing to give me, let's do it again, please. I think the only thing that didn't work out for me is just forgetting to apply the rule. When you get caught, you just have to relax, and that was the only thing that didn't work out for me. Because I should have known better. I'm a boss, I know it, but you know, sometimes you know the right thing, but then something could have happened to you and then you forget about it. And so that is what went wrong with me. So I pray, and I'm gonna be very, very more cautious. Next time it happens again, I'll be able to go through, and that's the only thing I got to watch out for. So
that's Lukaku there. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring that analysis from my colleague Muftau Nabila on Ash Gold CEO resigning, but we'll be doing that later and hoping to bring it to you. I'm Gary Al Smith, and that's the sport for now. You take care.
And this is where we wrap up the bulletin for this evening. My name is Israel Lai, anchoring from home. Over to you, Aisha.
And my name is Aisha Ibrahim. It's been wonderful doing this with you, Israel Lai. For more news, join us on myjournline.com for all the updates. Up next is PM Business Edition. Stay with us.